All right, 3-point shooting. The media sucks. The media talks all bad about the players. The players are all crybabies. The players don't take any responsibility and always cry about this and that, flopping, foul baiting. All these things are things that people hate about the NBA, dislike, whatever you want to call it. These are all things people love to complain about. This is not a video to hate on the NBA. I watch games all the time and I still love the NBA. But one thing people don't talk about enough, in my opinion, is the officiating and gambling's effect, the effect that gambling has had on the NBA since it got brought in. NBA is just in bed with all these gambling companies. You can't watch a game without seeing a gambling ad. It's literally impossible. Even if you skip all the commercials, they're gonna have some powered by BetUS little badge like right by the scoreboard. Like you cannot miss it. I was literally watching free throws the other day, and you already know they're gonna show a commercial during the free throws. I don't know when that became okay, but it's ridiculous. So what I do, I usually close one eye. So say this half is where the commercial is. I'm gonna close my eye just so I can watch the player shoot their free throws. I like to see players, pre free throw routine. Giannis likes to stand there for 12 seconds, whatever it is. KD does his little ball spin. Everyone has a different free throw routine, and people that love the game like to watch the free throw routine. They like to see the form on the free throws and things like that. It's part of the game. People watch basketball because they love basketball. But I was watching some free throws the other day, so I close my eyes so I don't see. I just see the basketball half of the screen, and the whole screen goes full screen for a betting ad. I swear, full screen. Like the game's not even on anymore. We went to a full commercial. I don't even see the first free throw getting shot. We come back and I get to see the second free throw. I don't know when that became a thing. Like free throws don't matter. Free throws are just commercial breaks, but usually the commercial breaks are for BetUS ads, whatever ad it is. So I'm getting off topic, but that comes back to the betting stuff. We'll get started with the Jontay Porter controversy. This was just in 2024, probably just a year ago when this had happened. Like I think it was in February last year. We're actually right here in July, so a little less than a year ago. But if you don't know, Jontay Porter is Michael Porter Jr.'s brother. I actually didn't know that before I read this. I didn't know they were brothers, so that's kind of interesting. But Jontay Porter started a scandal that shocked the NBA and American sports journalism. I don't know how shocking it was with the league being in bed with gambling companies. It's like the NFL just pumping beer commercial after beer commercial, and they hear, oh, this 20-year-old kid, they were drinking Bud Light and they got in a crash on the way to the football game on the way home. Say they watched their favorite team, they got drunk at the game, and they got in a drunk driving crash on the way home. Then the NFL comes out and says, "Oh, this is such a surprise. Who could have seen this coming? Like this has nothing to do with us. Like you are the ones peddling beer and alcohol commercials the whole time. You're not responsible for everyone's choices and decisions, but if you're pumping alcohol ads the whole game and people are getting drunk at the game, y'all promote it. Nothing wrong with that, but when someone goes home and they get in a crash, things like that, don't act like, oh, it's such a surprise. I didn't know people get drunk at my game. Same thing with this. They said, shocked NBA and American sports journalism. Y'all been in bed with the gambling companies since it got legalized. It's legal in about I think 30 states for the mobile betting. We'll get into stats later, but it's so funny to see the NBA. Oh, this shocked the NBA and American sports. It's not shocking. Jontay Porter's not the only one that does this. He just happened to get caught. But going on, Jontay pleaded guilty to wire fraud when he admitted to betting on basketball games in July 2024. Again, which surprised the league. They have to put that in there again. Like it's didn't surprise me. It just the fact he got caught. Um, Again, there's other guys out there doing it, I'm sure, but they just haven't been caught. But the scandal started on March 25th. NBA initiated a probe into some betting-related activities after receiving reports from sports books and acting on a directive from the Colorado Division of Gambling. I don't know exactly how this works. I guess if you're winning a lot of money as a gambler, they're going to look into you and make sure what you're doing is legit and make sure you're not an NBA player that's betting on themselves or betting for or against their team. But Jonte was proven to have used another person's account to place 13 NBA player prop bets on NBA games, reveal some information with bettors, and also deliberately play fewer games. They're talking about Jonte Porter missing games real quick. Jontay Porter's career stats: 3.7 points, 2.6 rebounds, 1.6 assists on 40% field goal shooting. So I don't think that him sitting out games like sabotaged his team. Unless you're betting on the under, that's I guess that's probably what he was doing. Maybe he goes out. I mean, you already know what I'm going for. Let's say the team's at 99 points. The over under is 100 points. If he stays under 100, he's gonna cash out. Again, Jontay Porter is not in the game at the end of these close games. But let's say it's garbage time, and Jontay Porter happens to get the last shot, or he comes in. The team has 92 points. He's gonna make sure he misses all of his shots, do everything he can, to stay under on the over under, or maybe the other team, their over under is also 100, but they're at 99 points, and Jontay Porter's guarding this dude. He lets him just blow by, get the layup, so Jontay Porter can win the over if you bet on the over. But yeah, anyway, he got revealed for placing 13 NBA player props bets. He was placing the bets under another person's name. Like I guess his buddy had an account and he was telling his buddy, "These are all the bets I want to make." Then he gives him the money, and that's where the wire fraud kind of came in there. But led to a high-profile investigation that implicated him in the most famous sports betting scandals involving the league, destroying its image. This did not destroy the league's image. Like, the league is actively, I don't want to use the word destroying, because the league is still great. There's more talent in the league than there's ever been as far as top to bottom goes, and the league is still entertaining. I get people mad about three ball, mad about this and that, but it's better than the dead ball era when teams were scoring. Final scores was 88 to 83, and um, slugfest between the Spurs and the Pistons. I'm a Spurs fan, so I don't hate on it, but I'm not going to you know going to look back and say, man, that was way more exciting than the style of basketball being played today, because it just wasn't, in my opinion. Like I was saying, the league's not in a perfect place, but we can do things to make it better, or at least the NBA can. And for them to say, this sporting scandal destroyed its image, and then they're literally cutting out of free throws to push gambling ads down your throat. It's just so hypocritical for them to say that, oh, this one thing destroyed our image, when all your promoting gambling, helped kind of helped feed into this, and maybe made Jontay Porter more comfortable with doing this when he knows the league is just in bed with all these gambling companies. But yeah, in reply, Adam Silver banned Jontay Porter for a lifetime from playing the games, supporting the league's zero tolerance on fraudulency and betting that would threaten sporting activities. So basically, they're saying, yeah, we love betting. We'll take all this money from all these betting companies. We're cool with that, but once one of our players is trying to make money off these betting companies, that's challenging the integrity of the game. Comment below what you think. I think there's games. We'll get into the referees in a second here, but I don't want to spoil it. But there are games when the referees might not blow their whistle as much. Maybe they blow the whistle more for this team than that team. I'm not going to say it is rigged, but comment below what you think. I feel like y'all have noticed it as well. Some teams get a more friendly whistle than others, and call it what you want, but my opinion is always, you're a professional NBA referee. If I get slapped on the arm, I'm a rookie. If I get slapped on the arm and I'm LeBron James, I still got slapped on the arm. Your eyes work the same. Like, call the foul. If it's not a foul, don't call the foul. But yeah, Jontay Porter incident. So he's suspended for a lifetime from the NBA. I'm gonna get into it too here. I'm not sure the exact contract Jontay Porter was on, but he was making at least $1 million that year. I mean, if you make $1 million in 1 year, let me know below what you think. But in my opinion, you should be set for life. You can't just sit on that $1 million and think you're gonna be good off of that. But if you invest it properly and do the right things with it, you can pretty much set yourself up for life, or close to a lifetime, just off that $1 million if you do the right things. So it's surprising that Jontay Porter felt the need to do the gambling stuff and do things like that, because he wasn't doing terrible financially. That's kind of where I come back to the NBA just promoting the shit out of gambling and being in bed with the gambling companies, and then your players see that as well. And then, I'm not saying this is exactly what happened for Jontay Porter, but you see that stuff, and then probably makes it easier for you to gamble on games. Moving on though, like I said, what's the minimum NBA salary for 2024-25? So that was the season Jontay Porter was playing in. So right there, the minimum salary is $1,157,000. So again, I don't know Jontay Porter's exact contract. I don't know if he was on a minimum, but if he was, you're making a cool $1,157,000 that year. Take away the $1,000,000, you're making $157,000. You're making twice as much as an average American. You still feel the need to go and do the betting stuff. He didn't get a lot of playing time. I showed you his stats. He's averaging like 4 points a game for his career. Then you see your brother Michael Porter Jr. out there just hooping and just raking in the mills, and maybe he's trying to hang with Big Bro and trying to keep up with him financially, because that'll happen in the NBA. I'm flexing big over here, and this other guy's trying to flex like this guy's flexing, and you can't all be the biggest flexer out there. It's got to be one guy. All right, moving on though. All right, here's our boy. Just kidding. If you know who this guy is, you probably hate him. Scott Foster, who dodged a gambling scandal despite 200 phone calls with the banished, they just call him a banished NBA ref, receives a heartfelt request. So it was Tim Donaghy. But if you see, for all the NBA fans today, blah, blah, blah. This was 17 years ago now, in 2007. NBA was struck by a huge betting scandal involving veteran NBA official Tim Donaghy that put a huge stain on the league's reputation forever. Really did. I don't know if you remember this, but I still remember this. I'll still think about this. But yeah, basically Tim Donaghy was placing bets in Vegas on games, and of course you're a referee, so you can't do that. And whether he was or was not favoring his whistle this way or that way to make money off of his betting, definitely put a huge stain on the league forever. And it doesn't help that this happened, and now y'all are just all in bed with the gambling companies and expecting us just to be like we're all stupid and we can't see that. Yeah, Donaghy faced the consequences of his actions. Donaghy was suspended for life from the NBA for this. Scott Foster, who was rumored to be his partner, it's no rumors, remained unscathed. After years of not staying in touch, Donaghy made a special and hopeful request to Foster in a recent interview. I guess Donaghy was saying, "Hey, Scott, let's be friends after your NBA career is over, and you can go rob some banks or do some white collar crime." Like, I don't know, it's just so ridiculous to me. But yeah, moving on. Yeah, right here, Donaghy, he got the lifetime suspension. He was sentenced to 15 months in prison. I don't know whether he did or did not go to jail, but that's kind of besides the point. FBI released Donaghy's call records. It revealed that he had received nearly 200 calls from Scott Foster during the tenure of his betting scandal. So, like, after the news came out that he was in a betting scandal, like, after that happened, he had over 200 calls from Scott Foster. Despite the allegations, Foster was cleared by the FBI a year later and remains an active official in the league to this day. Just so stupid to act like Scott Foster did not know what was going on. I can't guarantee that he was or was not, profiting financially from this. But, it says right here, Foster cut off his relationship from Donaghy despite them sharing a brother-like relationship for a long time. Dude, if I have a brother-like relationship with somebody or a family-like relationship, I'm going to know they're doing stuff like this. I mean, comment below what you think again, but I think Scott Foster knew all about this. I can't prove if he was or was not profiting from this. And to be in Scott Foster's shoes, I guess, he couldn't bring it to the NBA and then say, "Hey, Tim Donaghy is doing this," because then they're gonna assume he was in on it. It's just so weird. In my opinion, I think Scott Foster knew this was happening, and he chose not to speak on it. But yeah, so that happened. Oh yeah, down here, Scott Foster is still dealing with the allegations. Found innocent, did not face any legal or professional consequences. They had Donaghy's call records. I don't know why they didn't see what the phone calls between him and Scott Foster were about. If it was any other criminal investigation, they would have pulled those and seen, if it was something. I think this is serious, but they don't take this white collar crime as serious as they should, unfortunately. But yeah, again, Scott Foster, he's still tarnished in the league. I'm pretty sure he's still refereeing games to this day. Yeah, Foster's response about the 200 calls he made to Tim did not seem convincing enough for many to prove his innocence. That's how we communicated in 2007. I had a Motorola Razr. Used to be a sick phone back in the day. I totally forgot about the Razr, which, if you wanted to text yes in a text message, was 23 keystrokes or something crazy like that. What? I guess he's not wrong. You'd have to go through all the alphabet stuff, but what about the 200 phone calls you made to him? That has nothing to do with text messages. But blaming the significant number of calls on the early days of cell phones when it was not easy to communicate through texts. I mean, I don't believe him, to be honest. Comment below what you think. I don't believe Scott Foster. For the gambling investigation to start against Tim Donaghy, and after it started, 200 phone calls kind of back and forth between y'all. It's just, I can't prove a crime with that, but it's shady, and I don't believe Scott Foster. Foster shrugged off every allegation. There are still signs that people don't believe his story. Let me know below what you think. I do not believe him, just to let you know. Just recently, Wolves center Rudy Gobert taunted Foster with a money gesture with his hands after the official called a foul against him. I don't know if you remember, but it was so funny. The best thing Rudy Gobert's ever done in his career. I'm not a Rudy Gobert hater, but this was freaking awesome. Scott Foster made a call against him, and Rudy Gobert just goes like this to him. I'm pretty sure he got teed up, or not if he got teed up, but right here. League did not appreciate Rudy's gesture, and they fined him a whopping $100,000. Yep, it really is all about the money. That was hilarious. Rudy Gobert did that. Again, the league is being hypocrites, finding Rudy rather. It just shows y'all really are all about. They know Scott Foster was in on this. They couldn't prove it enough, I guess, to kick him out. And then say, if they give a lifetime suspension to Scott Foster and Tim Donaghy at the same time, it's gonna look so bad for the league's reputation. Like, what the hell are y'all doing? Y'all don't even know what's going on with your officials. They honestly still don't to this day, but yeah, if you remember that was freaking awesome. Rudy Gobert just hits him with the money sign. I was laughing my thousand a year. Maybe I'll do the exact same thing if I was in their shoes. I've never been an NBA referee. I'm never going to be an NBA referee, so I can't say what I would or wouldn't do if I was in their shoes. But NBA refs' annual salaries typically range from 250,000 to 550,000. So 250,000 is the low number. I don't know what you do for a living, but I would love to make 250,000 a year. If you gave me a job where I'm making 250,000 a year, I'm never doing anything to jeopardize that job that I have. I'm not gambling on the side and doing stuff like this. Again, I don't know, maybe Donaghy was making 250,000, then Scott Foster was making the 550,000. Scott Foster just flexing on Tim Donaghy in the club, and Donaghy, like I was saying about the players earlier, and Donaghy was like, "Damn, dude, I gotta get my money up so I can buy these bottles of 1942 with my boy Scott Foster in the club." But I just went to this point because it's not like they're making 50, 60,000 a year and struggling to pay their rent, whatever they're doing. Maybe they are struggling to do that. I don't know what kind of lifestyle they live, but the point is making plenty of money. It's not like they're underpaid. They're making plenty of money to do what they do. You get paid to jog up and down a court and make the correct calls that shouldn't be too hard to make if you accurately use the replay center and things like that. But that's another conversation. But basically, NBA refs are getting paid $250,000 a year on the low side, so there's no reason in my opinion to be gambling and trying to make more money other than just, I just love the rush. That's why people say gambling's addictive. I'm not a gambler myself, but you know, people say it's addictive. Even once you're set for life, there's people that still love to gamble just because of the rush of it. Now I'll get into it here. Sports betting statistics. So, as of February 2025, I'm shooting this in March, there are 38 legal sports betting states. Online sports betting is available in 30 states. And then they're just pumping the ads out. I live here in Texas. It's not legal in Texas, the sports gambling, but you just see the ads on ads on ads. I hear ads about hey, vote for they don't even use the word gambling. It's so just call it what it is. Call it what you're voting for. They'll say, hey, vote for destination resorts in Texas. Texas has to vote for destination resorts. They just mean casinos, but they call them destination resorts. Just call it a casino. Just say that you're promoting gambling. Again, I don't gamble myself. If you do, that's fine. Like there's people that gamble responsibly. If you don't gamble responsibly, if you blow all your money, if you become a millionaire, I don't care. You're an adult. Like gamble it up. I don't care. But when it comes to the NBA, it's hurting the integrity of the league. I made a video before this. If you want to check it out, it wasn't all about gambling like this video, but it was just a Trae Young travel. Trae Young traveled his ass off. He took like 5 or 6 steps in a game versus the Warriors just last week, and this is what happens. I see that happen, and I'm like, either the referees just suck at their job, which I don't really believe. You made it to the professional level. I was saying in my last video, middle school, high school, college. You probably did AAU. Maybe you refereed overseas. Like you made so many calls. You've seen so much basketball. You know, you know, you know how to do your job. So if it's the referees being incompetent, which I don't so much believe, I think they know how to make the right calls. It's just the NBA telling them what to call and what not to call, where it gets kind of tricky to do the referee's job. But I scratch that out. I say the referees aren't incompetent. They know what they're doing for the most part. So then I see the Trae Young travel, and the next thing I think, it just popped in my brain. Tell me if you think the same thing. If this happens for you, I just think boom, sports betting. It was the end of the third quarter. I just think boom, over under for the third quarter. They don't want the Hawks had the ball. Of course, Trae Young plays for the Hawks. I was thinking they don't want the Warriors to get this ball back because if they call the travel, Warriors get back the ball. Maybe they hit a buzzer beater three, a buzzer beater layup, to end the third quarter, and then somebody bet an over under on the third quarter, and then if the Warriors make that shot and they go over, they're gonna lose this much money, and that's where people get into the sports gambling sites. Excuse me, the sports gambling sites being in bed with the NBA, which again I can't confirm whether they are or aren't. It's a fact. The NBA does make money, directly off of these gambling sites, but you think it's just more ad money, things like this. I can't say, for a fact, oh hey, if this over under hits, then the NBA is gonna make more money directly off of this over under. Like I don't know that, but then you see like my last video, please check it out. But you see Trae Young just travel his ass off. I swear he took like 7 steps. The referee's right there on the sideline, and they don't call it. It's like, dude, what are you watching? Like, either you're incompetent, which I personally don't really believe that, but you can make that argument. That's fine. But then the second thing I think is just sports gambling. I'm like, dude, you're looking at his feet. He took 7 steps. The only other reason I could think, unless you're just a terrible ref, the next thing that popped in my head, whether it's right or wrong, was boom, sports gambling. Boom, it's an over under. Um, these companies that are in bed with the NBA, they have a direct interest with the NBA. The NBA has a direct interest with these companies, and I just thought maybe this is not literally what would happen, but I'm just thinking maybe this person just called Adam Silver and said, "Hey, Adam, we can't let the Warriors make another bucket, at the end of this quarter," and then they just don't call that travel. Who knows what it is? I've heard Warriors fans saying that the refereeing has been pretty biased against them lately for whatever reason. Again, there's so many different sports bets to make money on, and I think it's definitely hurt the integrity of the league. I'd say you can't argue that it hasn't affected the integrity of the league after watching my video, because I gave you the Jonte Porter example. That's a player that's happened with. Gave you the Scott Foster, Tim Donahue example. More Tim Donahue. He's the one that was actually convicted of these crimes. But I gave you a player, I gave you a referee. Comment below what you think, but I would find it really hard to believe that those are just the two bad apples. Like there's not one other player, there's not one other referee that's doing this. Especially watching how horrible the officiating has been, it's just hard for me to believe. I'll I'll finish off with not so much vouching for Adam Silver, but since Adam Silver took over the NBA, it's rocketed in money. The NBA is making more money than ever. These huge TV contracts and this and that. So if you just look at the NBA as a money making business, then Adam Silver has been an excellent commissioner. NBA is making more money than ever, making all this money from gambling companies and this and that. But they forget what the business is. It's not a gambling business, or I don't know what else kind of business. It's an entertainment business. And now I still think basketball is fun to watch, like I said, but you see stuff like this, I feel like more than ever, the integrity of the game feels kind of diminished. Like I'll see these missed calls and just boom, the first thing my brain goes to is sports gambling, like I was saying. So in my opinion, Adam Silver has not been a good commissioner because as uh, as the money goes up in the league's making more and more and more money. Again, if you're just a businessman, if you're a team owner, you probably think, man, Adam Silver's a badass commissioner. Look at all this money I'm making. He's great for the NBA. But if you're a fan of the NBA and just watching the product, again, there's more talent than ever in the NBA. But I feel like the officiating, technical fouls, ejections, I feel like it's just worse than ever right now. And again, you can talk about 3-point shooting, sports media, whatever you want to talk about affecting the NBA. And I could have a conversation with you about those things. I'm not so much on this side or this side about 3-point shooting and foul baiting and things like that. We can share our different opinions on that. But one thing I feel like we can look at, you know, as fans of the NBA and just as the league in general is how sports betting has affected the integrity of the game, and just how bad officiating has looked lately, the ejection, the technical fouls, and that's another thing you can come back to. I made a video about Cade Cunningham getting ejected just last week or two, and it was just ridiculous. He got ejected so quickly, did not deserve to get ejected at all. And there's other players that get ejected too, and they don't deserve to get ejected. But you see them get ejected. Maybe they're at 22 points, and the over under is 25, and there's more people betting on the under than the over. And guess what? They happen to land on the under, or land on whatever's going to make the betting companies more money. Again, I don't have numbers to prove all these things. Comment below what you think. This is just what pops up in my head when I see stuff like Trae Young's insane travel. When I see players getting ejected so fast for no reason, I'm thinking, man, the referees' egos are out of control. They need to check those, or the league has gambling motives they're trying to hide from us. But I feel like a lot of us are honestly seeing it. Please comment below what you think. Um, I'm not saying in any way the NBA's a terrible product or the NBA's dying or finished. People are dramatic and make that argument. I don't think that at all. Again, we made it through the dead ball era. We can make it through anything. The NBA is still going to be entertaining. We have Wembanyama in growing up, Anthony Edwards, Cade Cunningham. We have so many spectacular young stars. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, there's so many spectacular young stars, and probably the people that say the NBA is dead just aren't so much watching the talent that's in it. But again, coming back to the gambling point, it's just insane how I feel like sports gambling has noticeably affected the game. And if you watch the games, you can't get away from it because you can skip all the commercial breaks, and they're still gonna full screen, which is just ridiculous. They're gonna put some sports gambling ad on full screen while free throws are being shot. You're gonna miss your favorite player shooting their first free throw. They're gonna come back the second free throw and act like they didn't just show just shows some 15-second gambling ad right in the middle of the game. So please comment below what you think. If gambling has or has not had an effect on the NBA. You finished the video, please like and subscribe as well. I'm at a big 34 subscribers. If I can get to 50 subscribers, YouTube said they're going to send me a brand new car.